Under the definitions and general terms section, what is the distinction between an acknowledgement and an affidavit? Well, let's have a look at the definitions and general terms section of the Notary Public License Law Booklet, and particularly the definition of affidavit, which clearly states the distinction towards the bottom of this paragraph, which states, the distinction between the taking of an acknowledgement and an affidavit must be clearly understood. In the case of an acknowledgement, the notary public certifies as to the identity and execution of a document. The affidavit involves the administration of an oath to the affiant. So with this in mind, let's have a look at the four choices to determine the solution. Choice A states, an acknowledgement involves a notary public verifying a signature, while an affidavit involves a notary public witnessing a written statement under oath. Now, this is somewhat tricky because the wording is a little different from the law that I read from before. But if you do a comparison between this choice and what's stated in the solution, you will see that really it's saying the same thing. So for example, it talks about an acknowledgement involving a notary public verifying a signature. In the distinction over here, it states that the notary public certifies as to the identity and execution of a document, which essentially is the same as saying verifying a signature. And again, with respect to the affidavit that's stated here in the choice, it states that the affidavit involves a notary public witnessing a written statement under oath. And here in the distinction, it states that the affidavit involves the administration of an oath to the affiant. So while the wording is somewhat different in this choice, it in fact is saying the same thing as the law states, and therefore choice A would seem to be our solution. But before we mark it as such, let's have a look at the other three choices just to be certain. Choice B states, an acknowledgement can only be done in writing, whereas an affidavit can be done either in writing or orally. Now this is not the distinction that's stated in the law that I just read from, therefore we can eliminate choice B as a solution. Choice C states, an affidavit is used exclusively for real estate transactions, while an acknowledgement can be used for any type of document. Once again, this is not the distinction that's specified in the law that I read from before, and therefore choice C is not the correct solution either. And finally, choice D states, an acknowledgement requires the presence of witnesses, but an affidavit does not. Once again, this is not what the distinction is as stated in the law that I read from before, and therefore choice D is not the correct solution either. Which leaves by process of elimination choice A, which is another tip when you're answering the questions, that even if something may be somewhat uncertain, oftentimes you can certainly eliminate the other three choices to leave you with the fourth choice, such as the case over here. And with that in mind, choice A, an acknowledgement involves a notary public verifying the signature, while an affidavit involves a notary public witnessing a written statement under oath, is the correct solution.